Now, I believe we're exactly on time for speaker number 1, but I might be wrong. Actually, we are. Let's see if Tom behind the curtain has an update for us. And he does. There we go. Bray, welcome.
Hey, welcome.
So we're joined now by Bray. Bray is from Qubitro. He's the founder and CEO over there. And Bray, just before we get started, I know we're on a tight schedule, but we're trying to keep things a bit personal, a bit fresh. We're going to start off with a random question, which is, what drink are you going to be pouring to celebrate your next major release?
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, good question. Probably Japanese whiskey.
Oh,
A Japanese whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can get on board with that.
it.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, we're going to get questions in at the end. Keep them coming through Twitter, Slack, everywhere else, and somehow it will be collated by people in the background. But since we are on a pretty tight schedule, I think the only thing we have to do now is get it started. Beret, are you ready?
Sure.
All right, then you can take it away.
Okay. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I am Beray, the founder and CEO of Qubitro. Today, I'm gonna talk about our startup and how we utilize Kubernetes on Equinix Metal. So, for the content, to make this more clear, I want to start with Qubitro itself and why we are working with Kubernetes and how we utilize Kubernetes on Beray Metal servers and actually why we do that. And also, I will be mentioning our long-term vision with Equinix and, of course, QA session for a few minutes. So, in a sentence, we describe Qubitro, a platform for IoT solutions, and we help developers to build connected IoT solutions without managing infrastructure and working with no-code solutions and possibly, let's say, low-code. So how Qubitro works is any device from anywhere in the world can connect to our platform with most widely used protocols, or maybe from the third-party platforms that devices are already connected. And developers start sending data, and thanks to Qubitro, they are able to work with device data and the devices itself through our REST APIs, our data storage, our rule engine, and our external services. So we manage all the software and the infrastructure, and we offer at the end a REST APIs and the platform, which I will cover right now. So IT managers and developers can easily monitor and manage devices through our user interface, just like you are looking on the slide. So we offer real-time monitoring, some dashboard stuff, and other features like downloading the data, removing devices, access control, all in a single platform. But the reason to cover why we are working with Kubernetes and Equinix Metal is actually related with what we have under the hood. So to offer this simple solution, we need to work hard on the software side as well as the hardware side. We have more than 15 microservices, a large old monolith backend from our early days, and we are utilizing NoSQL and time series databases at the same time to meet the demands. And to cover some important stuff, we also offer managed MQTT broker, WebSocket, webhooks, and third-party platform integrations so that we are able to offer everything in a single platform. And this way, we remove all the complexity and we make things simple only this way. So this is a not toy, and we are literally putting a new microservices almost every week because of the demand. So let's connect this story with the Kubernetes side. So actually why we work with Kubernetes, but not like with the existing services from maybe Microsoft, maybe AWS or others. So managed services are not working for us because we want to be the service provider. We don't want to put just the user interface on top of the services. We want to have the control. We want to manage the data, and we want to be able to customize the services itself. So in this case, we are the cloud provider. We are not using the previous services. So we already have cloud native architecture. We are utilizing languages like Golang, Erlang, and other cloud native languages. And our goal was, as a startup, starting small and then scaling, just like the other startups do. So the biggest problem, maybe the feature we need to solve, is dynamic deployment. And what I mean is, randomly we receive messages through LinkedIn or email any day in the week. Companies reach out to us for the partnership and integration with their device management platforms, for example. So we need to write code maybe in 2 days, and then we need to deploy, and then we need to scale, just like the other services that we offer. So this is a little bit challenging. So by using the Kubernetes, we can put all these microservices in an isolated space, and they will be scaling automatically, just like the managed services. So it is one of the most important reasons we work with Kubernetes. And of course, because we can. This is not a solution for every startup, especially early stage. But since we were able to do this, we just wanted to go with the Kubernetes since day one. So just to mention the K3S, a solution by Rancher, we also take the advantage of Kubernetes just at our home. We do local development. And even our development environment is built on top of K3S, so we don't need to pay large amount of money just to test environment or the development environment. And also we can test some CI/CD and edge deployments just at home. So we also do some experimental test and development. We don't want to merge and combine with our existing platform, since it's risky. So K3S help us directly work with small and cheap devices like Raspberry Pis at our home or offices. So we love Kubernetes because it's flexible, it saves us tons of money, and more importantly, it makes us being productive. So, of course, the Kubernetes is the only software side. We were able to work with the managed Kubernetes providers, but then why Metal? Because we see multi-regional demand for Qubitro. And right now, it's not possible to just work with a service provider and expect a multi-regional clusters, because there's a latency and it's technically not possible to offer just with 2 clicks. So we need to take care of all the network and the combination of the hardware with our software itself. And the other one is performance is the key, because we are dealing with the data that comes per second, maybe per day. It's random, we don't know, and it's impossible to estimate. So we are kind of streaming platform for devices. And of course, the other part is low latency. Since we are working with bare metal, we are removing all the virtualization for the software side, the operating system side. We offer Qubitro directly from the hardware itself. So there's the hardware and the operating system. And on top of that, we are working and offering Qubitro directly to our users from the bare metal itself. So there is no hidden latency between services and the machines itself. So this is important. When we are talking with Kubernetes, it's compared mostly with the virtual machines versus bare metal. But in our case, we also have latency problem with the managed services. So it's a win-win for us, both for the hardware and the software side, because then it's the interplay of the hardware and the software. And of course, we have constant feature development. It's not just put and see and wait to earn customers and users. We are constantly working and developing. And the business model for IoT solutions is changing. It's not like 5 years ago. It's not like, hey, tell me your demand and needs. We will be doing that for you. It's not like that. Right now, we are moving to software as a service and the platform as a service. And our goal is offering the first software as a service IoT platform where developers can work just like the other platforms like GitLab, GitHub, or whatever. So this changing business model is also made us able to work with Equinix Metal, so we can become an actual cloud provider for the IoT vertical. Of course, there are the benefits. The first thing for us is business value, not running on the managed services. And the companies that were in competition, wouldn't make sense for us. So the first game for us is business value for sure. And the other one is performance. We finally don't worry about the performance and the scaling the microservices and any kind of services. Of course, there's a lot of written post about cost. I will not gonna cover that a lot, but of course, when you move to the Beray Metal, you don't need to pay extra charges for the managed services. It's all your responsibility, but at the end, it saves you tons of money. So other one is available resources. This is also important. One of the problem we had, we need to scale automatically, for example, but we didn't know anything about opening support ticket to be able to access more hardware, more CPU, more memory, more storage, for example. So with Equinix Metal, it happens automatically, or either we can do just by clicking a button and the other machines will be spinning up under a minute. So it's also a good opportunity for us. And we want to scale at the edge. Yeah, this is a new and hype term, but there is a real demand for IoT use cases. For example, we are active users from New Zealand, China, India, Europe. So when I want to connect from the server from United States, there's a latency, and if your business is latency critical, it's a huge problem. And we believe that we can also solve it in the coming months, thanks to other solutions from Equinix. And the other thing is custom hardware. There are some special hardware for the software solutions that we use. For example, for Q systems, there are faster SSDs and disks, maybe even custom ones that Equinix Metal already supports. So we will be taking off those advantages also. So as I mentioned, this is not a toy. It's the hardware and the software, and both of them needs to work just perfect for make us able to make things happen as we advertise. So we have a long-term vision with Equinix for sure. It's not just about saving the cost. It's not just about offering a business model as a cloud provider. So we will be discovering Equinix Fabric, and we will be expanding globally to more data centers, hopefully. We started with US just a few weeks, maybe even days ago. So as we are looking ahead for the being a global IoT platform, we will be expanding more regions physically. So as I mentioned, it's interplay of hardware and software. So we will be discovering more hardware solutions such as custom silicons for cloud native solutions, which I believe Equinix Metal also supports, or maybe will support. So we will be looking also for that kind of hardware solutions. It's not just for the past, but it's also for the future. So we also manage the data, as I mentioned, for Qubitro. You can say, for example, data for a year, maybe 3 years, or maybe a week. We take the responsibility. So lowering the latency is not enough for sure. So we need to have a distributed data storage also, which is possible by working with Equinix Metal in the coming months. So we were already had a system that responds from where you are coming from by looking at your geolocation from your IP address. So we want to have the same benefit with using the Equinix solutions rather than the managed cloud provider solution. So to make things even better, there is a huge demand for CI/CD for IoT devices. So let's say you want to put device on a mountain and forget, but you need to update sometime, or you want to collect the metrics from device, not just the sensor data, but how about some vibration value, for example, whether the device is online or offline. So being able to updating devices is a huge pain currently for entire IoT space. So we will be also introducing an operating system from scratch for devices, which also requires a huge performance because there will be tons of logs, maybe even more than the device data itself. So it's on our roadmap, and it's only possible with all these good available hardware resources. So today it's all from me, not 25 minutes, unfortunately. But to add something on my presentation, we just started partnering with Equinix Metal team only a few months ago, and we made the transition only a few days ago, within maybe a week. So there is a long roadmap for us for Qubitro, for the entire team, to announce new cool stuff with Equinix Metal. So thank you for listening to me, and I'm open for all kind of questions. And since there's a buffer, so I am here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Do we have sound effects for applause, Mark? You're muted, by the way, Mark. I know we have this.
Here's the sound effect.
We can be all of the audience. Bray, people are getting questions over here to us. But while they're getting us questions, I wanted to ask you about your Cubitro's community, because I noticed you have a GitHub presence and your licenses are open source. How would you like people to join you in collaborating upstream, if at all?
Right. Sure, there are some libraries open sourced, and we will be putting more open source into existence. We have community.qubitro.com, which is pretty new, and maybe not many developers are there right now, but they can just sign up and ask any question through the community. And we have a website called feedback.qubitro.com, where our users can bring their ideas to us, so nice. We can write some code for them. It's also new. We just announced last week. But we will be putting more effort on the open source, especially for this device operating system. So they can also reach out to us from our website through the chatbot. Yeah. So those are the opportunities.
And I noticed that you do have a free tier. Like if you just want to do one project and whatnot, you don't have to put a credit card down. So you don't have to pay to play. You can just make a mess and get rid of it. I love that.
Right. There's actually one thing that we are going to try to solve. Since we are taking the advantage of lowering the cost, we are able to set the bar for our alternatives. So instead of paying the each services such as databases, MQTT services, and others, we can offer everything starting from free. And we do something from scratch called pay as you connect. So we charge just like the virtual machines. It costs you per hour, depending on your tier, for sure, whether you're enterprise or not. So you don't need to pay for for example, 5,000 devices, whether you use or not. So this is we call pay as you connect. We are very excited about that. So it's only possible by switching to bare metal and lowering the cost for sure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
We have a question from the audience. The BSD box would like to know what are some of the advantages you've seen so far moving Kubernetes to Equinix Metal from your previously managed service? Pros and cons.
Yeah, sure. Of course, I mentioned the cost and this auto scale issues, but the main thing was being able to, offering services directly from hardware. We were seeing some random latency issues. For example, we were notifying some random crashes, but since we have plenty of space in terms of hardware, we can easily deploy day by day new integrations, and they will be scaled automatically. So this is the first thing we noticed. There is plenty of resources, so. And we can easily scale, unlike the managed services.
Yeah.
And we know what we have from hardware to operating system. So we can choose the programming languages that can take the benefits of all this hardware, which is also another advantage for when we compare with the managed Kubernetes solutions. For example, they put virtual CPUs, but in reality, it's one single physical core, for example, just to make things more clear.
Yeah. Very. Did you run into any snags that you feel like sharing? It's fine.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about what's on the roadmap for Qubitro?
Sure. As I talk a little bit, there's a huge demand right now for CI/CD for IoT devices. Yes. We see new protocols and new solutions, services, but we cannot combine with the existing ones because they only work with the provider itself. For example, if you are using an IoT solution from some company, you will be able to work with only their services. So just like moving to Bray Metal, we wanted to build our own operating system for low-level devices. And it will take some time for sure, but imagine GitLab or GitHub Actions, for example, any CI/CD tool, just for IoT devices without using all these Docker or the Kubernetes solutions. It will be communicating directly from the device, from operating system to Qubitro itself. So we are very excited for that. And coming month for the alpha version, there are tons of devices, but we are going to start with one of the most popular ones. Also, we partner with pretty cool hardware companies to offer no-code integrations. So we are not only taking care of the device data, but we also make it easy for the IoT developers or companies. So we will be announcing at least 7 new partnerships with hardware companies from China, from Europe, and other countries. So, and of course, the rest is the same development as a startup. We sleep and wake up with new feature requests, new demand, new bugs. So the rest is the same. Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to give us a spoiler on some of those partnerships?
Yeah, sure.
Just between you and me. Just between you and me.
Sure. We will be introducing, even our operating system demo with Rack Virus.
Cool.
They're one of the biggest player in LoRaWAN devices. Hopefully next week, we are writing documentation, vice versa for Qubitro and for Rack Virus. We are very excited with that because we will be offering not just the integration for LoRaWAN devices, but we'll be putting the first living demonstration of the operating system through their devices itself. So I can talk about that, but the rest is kind of secret now.
All right, next year we'll see you back here. Bray, thank you so much. From Qubitro and all from us at Equinix Metal, thank you so much for joining us at Proximity. And we're going to say goodbye to you, but we will see you soon, I'm sure. And awesome talk. Again, round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you as well.